so nice to see you back in the UK. After a while, I have to say, but people are always waiting for DAD to play
There's
live.
a lot of fans out there who's been waiting for years.
Yes.
I'm a little embarrassed actually, but I must say that we've been sitting looking at the phone. When are they calling from the UK? And they didn't call for a couple of years, but now they're starting to call again.
Yes. And how does it feel to have a sold-out show at the Underworld?
It feels great. It really feels great. It's been a good track around Europe this time around, I must say. We were a little apprehensive about it. Oh, is it too early? Is the record out? Blah, blah, blah. But I mean, we met some great crowds and we made new territory. I mean, we went to Hungary and so it was great.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And talking about your career, I mean, it's nearly 30 years. I can't believe you look exactly the same.
Yes,
I
of
remember
course.
you. No, you do.
Sweet.
And you kept the promise. I'll keep your hair long, like, and that wonderful song, "I Won't Cut My Hair," and it's really great. And you started there you go. And you started in 1984 with such a beautiful, unusual name. And how did it feel when you had to basically change it because of a boring, complicated lawsuit with the Disney company?
Yeah. I mean, of course we were very much against it. We knew we couldn't do anything, but we were young and we were foolish when we made up our first name. But it's very important to be young and foolish, unless somebody are making their own money on that name, of course. And that's what's happened to us. You're not really allowed to make your own money on someone else's name. But on the other hand, it's artistic, isn't it? But they sued us anyway. Or as what happened, they sent us a letter saying, we will keep you on a minimum of existence if you keep on using our name. And so we had to, stop it. And it was actually a big sorrow to lose one's name, because DAD is not as funny as Disney After Dark. It's actually boring to name your rock band after your father.
True. But it worked out.
Yeah, it worked out, yeah, and people, we're trying, to push the secret message out there.
Absolutely.
All the time. Yeah.
And thinking about your music and the way it's so connected to the original name, I read when you first started this, they decided to give Disneyland After Dark the name because your music represents what happened in Disneyland After Dark.
Yes.
How would you describe that? What kind of music then would that be?
Well, I say that it's light and dark. It's happy, sad. It's like trying to see everything, maybe even yin yang kind of things. And I mean, more or less kept it that way ever since. Trying to describe in an artistic way feelings that you can't really talk normally about, but trying see what the shadows inside you kind of way, and also the light. That's so I think it still fits. I mean, Disneyland After Dark was definitely a name for a young punk band at that point in Copenhagen, but 30 years down the line, it's still a good name. It's still a different name, and we think it fits. But it's DAD. Remember.
And 2 years after you started, the first album came out, Call of the Wild. How do you feel listening to it now?
Well, the sound and the way it was produced and the production, I'm not so happy about it. But I really like the energy, and I like the melodic feel that we had those days still. I mean, we played Johnny last summer. We played Call of the Wild the summer before that. Let's see, what are we playing? I mean, we're still playing It's After Dark. So there's still some songs on that album that means a lot to us.
Wonderful, very good to know. Are the songs going to be part of the sub list on that as well? Can you anticipate it? Or? Fantastic.
Who knows, yes.
Very good. Thank you for that. And 3 years later, No Fear Left for the Pilgrim came out. That was your big breakthrough.
Yeah.
And what do you cherish the most of that time?
Whoa! I mean, the feeling that everything went up and forward. That was like it felt for us. It felt like an organic evolvement, and it felt naturally that people were buying our albums and came to more people showed up at the shows, and we were touring and going to America. It felt natural. And Japan, yes of course. Australia, yes of course. it felt very good. So we were on a roll, of course, and right when we were starting to to get the feel of how, okay, now we're not just stupid young guys fooling around. Now we are maybe becoming artists and stuff. So that transition into an artist, that also meant some kind of a dip in our popularity. Maybe so much among the fans, but more about the industry. We couldn't make as much money as they have anticipated, which was totally wrong because we started out as a punk band and didn't really, money was not, world domination was never really our, how we saw things. But for us, evolving into artists helped us coming through that dip in popularity. And yeah, it's wrong to say popularity because the fans are here and everyone who listens to it, are into it. But it was more the industry that had this, why they're not selling as much albums as Guns N' Roses. I think that was the main concern.
At the same time, it's true. Yeah, that's right. And Sleeping My Day Away is still a very popular video. One of my favorites, actually, my private collection. How hard was it to stay serious during the pillow fight? I thought that was amazing.
It was hard, but you know what? Those pillows, they were hard, and you know what? Those the feathers, they stuck in your throat. It was it was hard work.
Yeah, great video. That's really wonderful. And then, excuse me, as you mentioned, then all this massive touring all over the world started. So how do you feel when you played outside of Denmark for the first time, and where was that?
I can't remember. I mean, we started very early on going to Sweden to play as well. So we have had this feeling about going away from home and, it's exciting, let's do something extra. And I think that has been with us ever since. It's, of course, you want to treat your fans and the audience alike wherever you go. But some places, you get a little more nervous, or you get a little more, do they understand what I'm saying, kind of. So of course you tend to try to find out what's going on here, and you try to maybe learn one or two phrases. But mainly the thing is, the people are the same all over the world, that you more or less, you don't really have to overdo, the communication in a sense. The music really does a lot of the talk.
Absolutely, particularly with your type of music, I have to say. Yes, it's very organic, as you said, since day one. So, and how do you feel, how did you feel when you played Roskilde for the first time?
That can make us nervous. That's a place that can make us nervous.
Yeah. Not just for Danish band, but for everybody. So for you, must have been really.
There is a different atmosphere on Roskilde, and I mean, a lot of bands that play there know and feels afterwards that, wow, that was a good concert. I mean, people are so much there for the music, and that's just, it's a really a good festival in that sense. So. Everybody goes to a concert on Roskilde, goes with awe and a bit of a respect and very nervous. It almost always turns out fine.
Did you enjoy that?
Oh yeah, definitely. But playing for such big audiences, you're a little bit beside yourself in just. But that's always been good for DAD. I mean, we've been good with our backs to the wall.
Yeah. And it must have been great for you to communicate to your audience in your own language.
And definitely.
Enjoy that. Yeah, great. And speaking about festival, this year you're going to play at Halifax in such an amazing position in the lineup on a Sunday. You are between Raya Heap and Blue Oyster Cult. It's unbelievable. So how do you feel about that?
It's great. I mean, we've been trying to call France and call Italy, please let us come down. We know we can entertain you, please let us come down. And now, at last, it succeeded in that sense. And we're so happy. We're so happy to do.
I'm coming, by the way.
Oh, great!
So this is an anticipation, and I will be there, and I'll definitely pay attention.
So we're really looking forward to it, and I really feel that we can make a difference, and I feel confident that the audience are, willing to accept DAD. With everything we got.
Absolutely. I think the lineup is great. It's you have Motley Crue after that, so it's a wonderful, sequence, unbelievable. And Halifax has got such an amazing lineup. What do you think about it? And is there any band you're really looking forward to see during those 3 days, if you have the time? Because I know you guys can get really busy. And
but we are busy. Also that weekend. But I was looking through the program, and I was really looking forward to it. I was so happy about the day that we were playing, because I wanted to see a lot of those bands. But of course, it would be great to see Axel and his sideman. Saw them at Sweden Rock. It was a little bit disappointing, but I mean the Chinese Democracy one. I actually liked that album, so I would also give them a chance again.
Good. And let's talk about your last album. Very, very good album, full of energy, full of the D&D energy.
Thank you.
My first question on the album is about this now very famous video of A One What She's Got. So strange to see you completely different from your usual look. How hard was that to wear high heels and makeup and feathers? And
it was hard work, first of all.
Yes.
I mean, it was 3 or 4 hours in the makeup, and I had this corset. They were. It was.
I love the video.
And we really had some fun. I mean, we learned a bit about ourselves and how we, how we actually more or less slided into that role. It was actually more or less natural, but of course we learned a lot about all the trials that women has to go through just, to go outside the doors. It was like, wow, okay, high heels, that's a bit of that's a torture instrument in many ways.
Yeah.
Wow.
And was it just something extravagant you decided to do, or was there a particular purpose on the song?
There was a lot of small purposes, but the big one was, of course, that the lyrics would fit perfectly. The other one was that that in other bands or other people's minds, I Want What She's Got could have been much more sexist or much more. So we thought, no, let's hurry and turn it around, because. I mean, that's the way D&D works. We'd like to, maybe look at things in maybe a Danish way, so to speak, a more like the equal sexes kind of way, to equality between the sexes. Look at it that way, and we felt that it was maybe time that we put ourselves on the line instead of using models to sell music. Then more or less describe what it was we were talking about in the lyrics.
Yeah, I like this concept. There's a lot to write about it. Very good concept, really. Yes. And, well, first of all, you pronounced the title of the last album exactly, Disneyland After Dark.
Yeah.
I thought it was so smart, the way you come out.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, really, because then you will not involve Disneyland.
We can never, they can't be mad. Now they can't be mad.
So how did you come up with this great idea? Was
I mean, that was, we wanted...
teamwork, or?
It was the 11th album. I mean, we earned the right to call our, make the eponymously titled album. We thought that it would be great to do it. And of course we started out saying, no one will notice. Let's call it the real old name. And we would say, no one will notice. And then of course the record company again started to, don't do it. And so we had to, find ways around it. And actually they were against this title as well, because they said, it doesn't matter how you spell it, they're gonna come after us anyway. And I was going, I say this only once. We do it like this, or we don't do it at all. And so luckily they were, okay.
Yeah, it sounds good, obviously, because it looks good, so it's really.
Yeah,
really
it looks like some kind of Latin motto or whatever. So
yeah, when I first saw it, I thought it was Latin. Then
you
I
were
read
going through your books. Oh.
Yeah, that's so true, really. And I read, besides my own one, I read a lot of great reviews on this album. People were waiting for you to come back, and you came back the D&D style. So how did you create this album, and is there like a newfound energy that you have, or do you because it does what does it really?
I mean, this album has, contrary to some of the earlier ones, it felt like we it was more or less the same emotion from the first track to the last track. It's more or less the same band that wrote the songs. Whereas maybe Monster Philosophy was more like it was not so homogeneous as this one, I'd say. And I feel that this has it's a little more, we like to do a lot of different stuff, but this album it's a little straighter in my eyes. And that was what we've been looking for a long time, actually, to find 12 songs that fitted each other very well. And I found out more or less, and I had a plan earlier how to do it, and it was we needed to be together. Even though we're old men, we've got all our a lot of other stuff going on, families, and all. Good to have so we could actually tune into each other, so we more or less could feel as a unity as in the old days. And the best way to do that was, of course, to spend a lot of time together on tour. And so we recorded the album while we've been touring a lot. Yeah. So we composed, booked a tour, toured, and while we were touring, we went into the studio on and off. So it was like we were a lot together, and that helped. I think that really made a difference in the sense that there's a clearer vision on this album than maybe some of the albums before.
Because I noticed that you toured a lot while you were making the album, and the album has a live vibe. I think it's it has to do with that.
Music is communication, and we definitely communicated while we were touring and while we were in the studio. So that's that maybe made it condensed the subjects and the feelings and the emotions more, whereas instead of going ding 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 ding, it was like
Great. I just wanted to know if you had some last famous words to say to close the interview, because I like your quotations.
Oh.
So if you have any
famous last words. Okay, no. Just say that we're so happy and we feel very blessed to be in this situation as we right now.
Good.
I mean, I still wonder about football players who get to play the biggest matches before they're 30, and then when they're 30, everything's over. It feels so good to be able to come around, play, get into the art of music instead of just being, bimbo pop stars. It's great to get into, the creativity and keep on keeping on, chiseling out the same stone. You're being better and better at it. It feels like such a blessing to be able to work with the same guys, same kind of music for a long time.